Hello, welcome you guys. Hey, Peyton. Hello, hello. Hey, Kadra. Lee, hello. Welcome. Happy Monday, you guys. Planet Creative, hello. So good to see you all. Welcome, welcome, you guys. Hey, Tam. Hey, Jedi. Hey, John K. Runner. ArtSnacks family, hello. We're going to give it a minute to let everybody get a chance to hop on before we get started. Welcome. Let's get a drink of water real quick. And we'll roll right into this. All right, happy Monday, you guys. Welcome to Mixed Media Monday, the live stream we get together every Monday and we tackle a mixed media project. This is featuring Marabu for the next several weeks. My name is Brianna, also known as Dread Pirate Bree. You can check out my work here on Instagram. All right, so welcome to Mixed Media Monday. Like I said, this series is sponsored by Marabu, and I want to give a huge thank you to Marabu for sponsoring this stream and supporting ArtSnacks. You guys can find them at MarabuCreative USA and give them some love. Go give them a follow. They are an amazing company. Again, I've said this every live stream. I cannot express how much I love Marabu products. I have yet to find something by them that I don't absolutely love. So be sure and give them a follow. Move my tags over. All right. Just gonna leave this right here for you guys. Welcome, welcome. All right, you guys. So today is gonna be really fun. We're gonna be working with two different products. We're gonna be working primarily with the alcohol markers, aka the Marabu sketch markers. These are double tipped or double ended. You have a nice chisel tip on one end, and then you have a nice bullet nib on the other. And these are super great. These are alcohol-based inks, so they are permanent. And a lot of illustrators use these, especially when they want like a nice bold color. These do not move with any kind of water at all. So if you've never worked with alcohol markers, also guys, just so you know, we don't have smell-o-vision yet, but these are very low odor. So be sure and check them out. I'm gonna swatch this orange because it's one of my favorite colors. Love that chisel nib. And you use the chisel nib to cover a wide range, but you can also really have fun with the line work. And you can even just use the very edge of your chisel tip right there and kind of get some finer lines. But as you move it, the lines will vary by themselves. I love these. I've been using these so much, especially they come in a grayscale too. We currently have all of these colors in the shop. They are individual. Marabu does have sets, but those are coming. So in the meantime, you can get access to all of these colors and the black one too, I believe. And then we got a nice bullet nib on the other. So if you want a finer tip there, you don't have to use the pointed end of the chisel tip. You can just go ahead and use a bullet nib right here. And it's nice to get in really smaller areas. I am using a mixed media paper by Stonehenge, so just so you know, this is the bleed through effect. This is always a factor whenever you're dealing with alcohol markers, is they will most likely bleed through or at least show through, depending on what paper you use. So you want to have a paper. I don't recommend watercolor paper because it will just suck the moisture right out of your marker. All right, so we got nice alcohol markers, and we're going to be mainly using these lighter tones, but we have a couple of things we're going to use for these darker tones too. Just to give you a little bit of a context here, we got this one here. It's this nice ultramarine, a beautiful flat solid color, but it is very, very deep. All right. So those are the alcohol markers that we're gonna be working with, or the Marabu sketch markers. I think sketch is a little bit easier, that rolls off the tongue. And then next we're gonna be using these lovely aqua pen graphics. These Marabu graphics pens or aqua pens. They're basically watercolor markers. They are filled with a watercolor ink, and there's a nice brush tip on one side. And then again, you got that nice fine tip. So they're thinking about you. They're thinking about all the details and the wide areas of color that you want to add. And then with these ones, now these ones are water-based. So you can take a paintbrush here with some water, and you're just going to fan it out. And it becomes kind of like a watercolor there. And so you can get a nice range of value as well as line variations. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys an illustration that we're going to make. We're dealing with some florals today because I wanted to really step outside my comfort zone and create a piece. If you guys know my work, you guys know I really like meticulous line work. But I thought, let's go ahead and just do like color blocking. Let's get some color blocking going and see how we do with that. So again, working on this mixed media paper right here. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We might have time for 2 different illustrations today. We're going to start with one and see how far we get. All right, so I'm going to actually open this up with yellow. Again, focusing on these lighter colors mainly, and then having some darker colors available off to the side. We're going to go ahead, we're going to create kind of a flower. So we're going to go ahead and just start with the base of this flower. And I'm just going to go in like large circular motions here because I want to create some texture. Like use the streakiness of the marker to your advantage and create some nice value. If you wanted to have a flat wash, what you would then do is you would just go overlapping in nice even strokes while the ink is still wet. All right, did not poke through onto the other side of the paper, but if that was the case, that's all right. We would just work it to our advantage. It would just be a happy accident, right? All right, and I want to create like this, I don't know if it's a carnation or what. I just want to create this nice, beautiful, full flower. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to build another one here. Maybe we'll do this one just like a little bit smaller, have a little bit of variation. All right. We're just going to go ahead and do that all the way around. There we go. Almost got it. All right, so we got these nice 2 startings of these flowers. All right, now we're going to actually take our orange here because I love orange and it contrasts with yellow real nice. And we're just going to go ahead and do kind of similar effect, but on a smaller scale on the inside. And I am actually not, I'm not even sketching this ahead of time with a pencil. I'm just going into it with this chisel tip. I've actually been sketching with these markers lately and it's been so much fun. And I've been using the chisel tip. I feel like there's a lot of fear behind the chisel tip, but embrace the chisel tip. It's amazing. All right, now I am actually going to be using a slightly darker color here. We're going to be using this green. And to switch it up, we're going to go ahead and use the bullet nib right here because I want a smaller little cluster of texture. And you can even like let some of the other, like the color below kind of seep through. It's kind of like one of those like kaleidoscopes or whatever they call them. They create those circles that just go round and round. That's kind of the effect we're getting here. But it creates a beautiful texture in the long run. And you can fill it in a little more if you want. But I actually like that texture sitting there. All right, we're going to come back to these flowers later. We're going to make them a little bit more distinguishable as flowers. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create some leaves because what is flowers without leaves, right? All right, going back to our chisel nib because, again, I am just in love with it. We're going to start with our stems. We're just going to create a few. Now, remember, whenever you're dealing with foliage, random patterns, like random directions are always really great. So we're going to go ahead and do here. Also, remember to be doing things in an odd number way. So go ahead and start with your stems. And we're going to go ahead and add some leaves. And we're just going to kind of just create some nice texture. And then we're going to fill it in while the ink is still wet. This way we can get the best flat wash possible. And we're kind of color blocking here. We're kind of setting the tone for the full illustration by setting out our colors first, like blocking out our big areas of color, and then we'll start to go in with some finer details. So let's go ahead and add a few more leaves to this one. And don't feel like you gotta rush this. Like if you want it to be a lot like more refined, then by all means, like take your time with it. It'll be totally fine. But you do it how you want. And you add whatever leaves that you want to add. I think I'm gonna add 2 different kinds of leaves today. All right, we're going to go ahead, we're going to do the same thing because I want a cohesiveness across my piece. And I love this whole sketching and filling in with sketch markers. It's super satisfying, honestly. I used to be super afraid of this chisel nib and now it's like becoming my best friend. I kind of am preferring it even over brush tips depending on what I'm doing with it. And honestly, it was these Marabu markers that kind of taught me about that, because I had to really step outside my comfort zone, which is always a good thing to do as an artist, let me tell you. All right. We're almost done with these leaves, and then we'll move on to the next set of leaves. Again, just blocking out our areas of color that we know we want to claim. And if you come all the way up to the edge, go ahead and just like let it bleed off. It kind of creates a nice, like, less, I don't know, it creates a bit more of like it's meant to be like it's kind of a random piece. It's not so framed, but you can easily do a completely framed piece too. But if you do it, if you overlap into your white area and it kind of cuts off your piece, I would say definitely do it in other areas of your picture, because you want it to be very cohesive. And we're just gonna go ahead and extend that down. So look, we've already got this started. And the beautiful thing is this can continue to rotate as you're working. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to manage that, but we're just gonna go for it. All right, now we're gonna add another set of leaves, and it's gonna be a little darker. So I actually wanna start on this end, and we're just gonna, they're gonna be shaped differently. And by using this chisel tip, like, see how it went fine and then it went like wider, get some line variation going. That's another thing I love about the chisel tip, is that it really helps with just not having too many straight lines. Line variation is huge for me. I love wider and thicker lines. So nice. And so now we have another little area that's kind of got the leaves cut off. So that's good. It means that it's going to look more cohesive, because if you just have that one area that's kind of cut off, it's not going to look as cohesive throughout the rest of the piece. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add some more here. Just kind of like guide that right off the page right there, right into that washi tape. Same thing. Maybe we'll keep that one as like a nice whole leaf. And we're going to try and fill this page with a bunch of different textures and whatnot. And we'll get to those aqua markers in just a minute. All right, and we're going to go ahead and add, I'm trying to have the leaves, the branches go in opposite directions. So we have this branch going out. Let's go have this branch going in, and look at that beautiful line the chisel tip captured right there. Also, alcohol markers are one of my favorites because I love flat washes of color, or flat layers to build off of from there. If I was doing a piece with just the sketch markers, I would always start lighter and then go darker, because once you lay down your sketch markers, you really can't lift them again. And it's kind of like touching, overlapping into our little flower right there, and that's not a bad thing. So we got that down. Let's go ahead and lay in some other textures. Actually, we're going to lay in some color. So I've got a ceramic tile over to the side here, and this is what I use for my palette. And it's going to be off on the screen here because I don't have enough room for both. And what I'm doing is I'm just coloring my marker right on. You can do this with a ceramic plate or even a plastic plate, any kind of palette, but porcelain is best. And these will work great on them. So with that being said, I'm going to grab my water brush. I'm going to just go ahead and dilute the ink. Now, this is what I love about these markers. They work like a traveling watercolor, but it's like mess-free. So we're going to go ahead and create, before we lay down any other detail, we're just going to go ahead and kind of stem that color, like blend that color away from the edges, kind of like where there's going to be clusters of things, clusters of color, because we want to create a border. Otherwise, the yellow can get pretty lost into the white sometimes, at least for me. And we're just going to go ahead and kind of create a little bit of a watercolor effect there, kind of bleed that out. And you see how it's even overlapping into my flower right there and kind of creating this orange hue around the edge. That's actually really great, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. Completely unexpected, but very much appreciated. And we're just going to go ahead and keep going forward. And if you want it to fade out more, then just add more water. Just add more water to it, kind of blend it out. Let it have a mind of its own. And there we go. And then we're going to dry wash some of it outwards. Dry wash gets that nice brush stroke effect there. All right. I think I'm going to add a little bit more to this corner. Not too much, because I still want some white areas, because we're going to add some more details as we go further. But I'm going to go over here and kind of do the same thing. Just going to kind of blend that around, and you can overlap on top of your pieces that are already there. And you see I'm adding water over these, but they're not budging because they are alcohol markers, and they're amazing like that. So it's a really great technique to blend the two together. Blend a water media with your alcohol markers. I would say I'd be very hesitant to take an alcohol marker and go over a very pigmented section of your aqua pen, because I don't know how the two inks would react, and I don't know what it would do to the nib. So basically, don't try and blend. I would just advise blending. I mean, you absolutely could try blending your alcohol marker, like taking the actual alcohol marker tip itself and then blending it over what you'd already laid down the watercolor pen. All right. So now we have a little bit of variation going. We have some watercolor kind of coming out there, which is great because we're going to add some more details. All right. Now with the same marker here, we're going to do a little bit more of a concentrated effort here. And I want to create kind of like these tulip or thistle kind of flowers. And we're just going to take the brush tip here. We're just going to come on the side, kind of lay down a very rough bulb almost. And we're going to do the same thing into these other corners. Like I've got a series of different little textures and patterns and whatnot that you can use to fill this whole piece with. And same thing, we're gonna have another one kind of coming around here. And it's gonna kind of accent the center of this giant flower without taking away from it. And let's see if we can fit two more. We're gonna fit one right here, squeeze one right in there. And we're just gonna fit one into this corner right here, because why not? All right. All right, now that we have that, we're gonna do something similar. We're just gonna take it, we're just gonna kind of fan it outward. Now see how this is so much more concentrated than this over here. And that's actually to our advantage because your eye is drawn more here and more here than it is to the background. We want this part to be a background there. So create some nice texture, and don't be afraid to go over it and just let it be kind of loose. You can even, if you get a dry wash effect in there, then that's even better. There we go. Adding a little bit more water to this guy over here. And I just want to create some texture just to make it look like it's a full flower. And we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more detail once those dry. In the meantime, let's switch gears. And we're going to take this kind of muted paler green. And I'm going to take the bullet nib here because I want a little bit finer line work done. All right. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to kind of outline a little bit, just very faintly. And from there, we're just going to add some veins to our leaves. Right on top of the alcohol marker. Again, laying this on top of the alcohol marker, there is no budging from it. So it's basically like you're laying it on top of a piece of paper or paint, something permanent, something that's not going to move when dry. Again, another one of the amazing things I love about alcohol markers. Okay. And so we have some detail starting here. And we're going to go ahead and repeat that process in amongst our other 3 branches with leaves. And you can really have fun with this. You can make them really straight, or you can curve the lines. Whatever really suits you, your preference. It's all about your own style and your own twist. And you see how I kind of even went off a little bit there. I didn't get the lines to match up. And that's totally fine because plants are not symmetrical and they're not consistent with no two plants are alike, at least identical wise. So just remember that whenever you're doing any type of plant life or foliage or anything like that. There we go. See how they already have more life in them. Now we're going to do that same process, but we're going to grab a purple this time because purple is like a universal shadow color. Now this green right here is already pretty dark, so we have to grab a color that's even darker than that. So my choice is purple here. And we're going to do a little bit more straight, I think. We're going to try and do straight lines. In fact, let's get the brush tip because we need something a little more thicker. And we're just going to do very straight lines, kind of serving as those veins. And we're going to repeat that process going down. And it creates a darker element into our piece. So it's got a real nice contrasting effect going there. And now you can do a lot with these brush tips. Like these are a felt tip brush pen. And you can get a lot. I love brush tips, like of all kinds. They're one of my favorites. I feel like I can get so much variation. Remembering that we're going straight here. We're going straight with these leafy veins. All right. Almost. We have second to the last leaf. Now this is very different for me. Again, I always start my pieces by outlining them in ink first and then adding color. So I'm literally starting backwards this time. All right, so now these are now they're a little bit, the paper's still a little damp. The ink is not moving, but this paper's a little damp. So let's return back to our big old yellow flowers here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these two colors, take an orange and a red, and we are going to go ahead, we're gonna start with the red, I think, because we want a darker color as it bleeds closer to the center. And we're just gonna create like little textures, just kind of coming out from the center of that piece, center of that flower. I'm kind of like doing a little bit of a smaller hatches and then larger hatch, smaller hatches or scribbles, larger one. And you just kind of keep that going. It kind of starts to create an effect of a flower petal almost. We're trying to capture a flower texture. And this is a little bit too harsh for me. So you can easily add a little bit of water to that. Maybe not all over the place, but add it to your certain areas and just kind of soften the edges. It's not going to remove the lines, but instead what it's going to do is going to soften them and create a little value in its place. And we're just going to go ahead and push that color around, kind of again, remembering that it's darker in the center and then fanning out lighter as we go. Now I still have some orange over here on my ceramic tile. So we're going to take that, and I don't trust the markers straight on. So we're going to take some of this and we're just going to kind of do something similar. But we're going to fan it out a little bit more. Less lines, more blobby textures here. Going to go ahead and kind of emphasize on those petals right there. All right. We've already got like a nice variation going. So you can see the contrast in between the two. Like this is a little bit more refined and this is a little bit more solid there. So let's go ahead. We're going to use the rest of this. We're going to work from the outside in now because we have the stuff, and why not? And you don't have to add this to everywhere on your flower or your foliage, whatever it is. You can just add a little bit here and there. I'm just trying to use up my product so I'm not wasting anything before I add anything new. Otherwise I'll totally forget. There we go. Just a little bit, not a lot. A little goes a really long way. We're gonna take that red and we're gonna do the same thing. Just kind of like branch it out just a little bit, maybe a little less all the way to the end. Remember that no two flowers are exactly alike. They'll resemble each other, but they've got their own petal patterns and things that make them unique. There we go. And now if you want your pigment to spread further, you want to get to it with water like immediately after you lay it down. If you let it dry and then try and reactivate it, it will reactivate, but it won't move as well. There we go. And we're going to let these yellow parts rest a little bit before we go in and add a little bit more detail. Let's switch back to our thistles or our little bulbs right here. Maybe they're tulips, maybe they're poppies, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and use the fine tip here because I want to create I don't want to create super bold line works there. So we're just going to add a stem and we're going to add a leaf. And we're just going to kind of carry that. And that was basically kind of a contour line that I did there. So what I did there, I went ahead and I just kind of like took it down, and contour lining means that you don't pick up your pen from the page. So you literally can do like entire pieces with just contour lines. Oh, I don't have as many of those stems as I need. Interesting. But I drew the tips of the bulbs more than anything. So okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna blur that one half of the leaf. I don't want to blur all of it, just that one little half. Just create a little bit of contrast there. All right, and now we have the core functions of our piece. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more detail to these yellow rims, and then we're gonna do the final touches before starting on another piece. All right. And again, kind of taking that in, but being a little bit more direct this time with where we're laying down our values. Kind of like really emphasizing on the petals more. So just a little bit here and there, maybe some more towards the outer rim. Here we go. Again, creating that depth. All right. And it's going super fast. And you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. This is kind of one of the reasons why I like to even start off with the sketch marker, is because I'm not meticulously obsessing over my little details, which I so easily can do. And just starting off with color and just immediately jumping in can be so helpful sometimes. All right, we're gonna go back to that red color because our bulbs, while they're beautiful, they need a little bit of definition. So we're gonna take that bullet nib again, and we're just gonna kind of create some lined texture there. And it's kind of like a contour line where I'm not really lifting my pen. I'm just kind of overlapping and just kind of going for it. I love those pieces where you don't really know where the top is or where the bottom angle is. It's really nice. Like you can just continue to rotate it around. Okay, and then for some added little variation there, again, just take a little bit, not a lot, and just go ahead and just kind of blob that into your base. And if your colors leak out, that's fine. It gives that beautiful kind of like out of the lines kind of picture. And in fact, what I think I want to do, let's finish the rest of it out. I'm going to take some of this. This is like a chartreuse, kind of like a lemony green color. And we're going to go ahead and do that same thing. We're going to go ahead and just kind of lay some down for starters. We're going to come back to this in a minute and use it as an actual pen. But for starters, I want to add just a little accent here and there. So I'm just going to do literal blobs of this chartreuse color. Chartreuse? I think I'm pronouncing that right. And I'm okay just overlapping it onto the leaves because why not? And we just want to fill in these little corners. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. It just adds a little more pop to our piece. All right. All right, now we got that going, and it dries pretty fast. I'm going to go ahead and take our red color here, because we have these little accents of red just throughout. I want to kind of complement them. So let's go ahead and create a little bit of texture. And we're just going to do these little like dots almost. In fact, let's go ahead and use the brush nib because I feel like I can get a little bit wider dots a little quicker. We're just going to do these little, they're not holly dots, but they're definitely just like a little texture here and there. Kind of a little bit here. Just fill up your corners. We're going to do some down here. Making sure that it's all in frame so you guys can see. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit over here. Careful not to go over any areas that are wet because it can, again, ruin the nib of your brush marker. And you can do them in different directions too. You could do these little square kinds of dots, little dash marks, you know, whatever really suits you. We're gonna pause that because I wanna go ahead and come back to this chartreuse color, and we wanna go ahead and do the same thing, but with this green. Look at how vibrant it is. All right, and then kind of the same thing, just adding some texture and color, and don't be afraid to let them overlap onto things because it really helps kind of bring everything together. We're gonna do a little bit over here in the corner, and we'll probably come back in with a little bit more red. I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I always have to remind myself, like, change up the direction. Don't be afraid to like turn your piece around, turn it upside down sometimes. That really can help. We're gonna do the same thing. And if you want a more organic kind of feel to it, then hold your pen further up the barrel of the marker, and you'll get a much more like loose, squiggly effect because you have less control, so you're not focusing so much on the details of it. All right, we're gonna do a little bit right here. I'm still learning proper, like, balanced placement, but that's fine. It's a learning process. All right, and we're just gonna do a little bit here and there, not a whole lot. We need a little bit in this little area right there. And then start to fan them out because it'll start to, like, instead of them looking like little clumps, it'll start to look like a pattern almost. There we go. There we go. Doing good. All right. I would say this piece is just about done, I think. So cool, we have one down. So let's go ahead and start on another one. We're gonna use similar techniques. And this time we're actually gonna create a pattern. So I have this really weird masked out washi tape bit here, and I want to create a border with a matching pattern. And then you can have your center kind of left untouched. So let's go ahead and start with that. We are again going to reach for our yellow color in the sketch marker. And we're going to lay down, and I start with yellow because it is the lightest of what I have available to me. And I always like to start lighter and then go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to create these little blocks, kind of like a half flower bloom, like what we did earlier. We did the full flower bloom, but here we're just going to do like the half one. And that's chisel tip is great because it covers that wide range, and we're just going to do these in varying directions. Again, don't be afraid to get it all the way up to the end because that's really going to help. There we go. And then same thing, we're going to kind of carry that over here. We're going to create this nice pattern going, and I'm kind of just going in alternating rotation. And you want them to spread out because we have a lot more things we're going to add. And I always try to keep them in odd, so I have 4 up top and 5 down the bottom. That's going to work perfect. Then we're going to reach for the orange because, again, they're just so versatile. Okay. And then kind of following that same direction, we're going to create a little bit more of a block, like a little bit more of a block. You could even break it up into like 2 blocks. Like I'm talking a literal block. We're going to go ahead here. Just another reminder, guys, if you are not watching not following Marabu Creative USA, you want to be. These products are so nice. I love that they're so affordable. We're just going to create some more of these orangey blocks and like branch out. If it looks a little bit too square, add like an extra, think of it like a petal. Because we are still going with flowers. We're going to go ahead and just kind of continue with that. We're just laying down these blocks. I think I went on the opposite side, but oh well. Happy accident. All right, so then we're going to start with that. Now we're going to take this nice blue. It's like a very nice, it's kind of like the ultramarine, but it's a light ultramarine. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some stems. We're going to take them in varying directions. All right. We don't even need to carry them over across all of them. And see, I'm going in opposite directions here. And now what I want to do at this point, I want to go ahead and make some leaves because those stems are looking a little sad. And kind of same with that contour lining, just kind of like going in. I'm not doing true contour lining, but I mean, kind of. And we're just going to add some leaves, and I'm trying to like really change up the direction, the size. We're going to have like a little leaf coming up right there. And then like same right here, because I want the ends to kind of really look like they are still complete. I feel like whenever you have patterns, it can be really easy to lose them whenever you get all the way up to the end. There we go. There we go. All right. And then as some added texture here, we're going to go ahead and just kind of like use the line work, the hatching of the marker, the same marker, and just kind of add little lines here and there. It doesn't have to be on every single one. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to create a little bit more pattern to it. We want to create some more texture. All right. So now that we have that down, now again, these things dry really fast. We're going to take the chisel nib, I think, and we're going to create some like large, oh, that's a dark color. Oh, well, you know what? We're just going to own it. We're going to take that. We're going to do these like half boats, lower ends of the boats. And we're just going to create these leaves. I wanted to do it with all the light green, but I always get these two greens confused. It's my fault for keeping them so close together. Stay over there. And we're going to go in with this other green, the green I meant to grab, and we're just going to kind of complete these leaves here. But you know what that did for us? It gave us variation. It gave us a nice color variation in our work. They're going to fit right in. All right. Now with the smaller nib here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create that nice leaf line, and we're just going to create a nice little texture, just a little hatching line, nothing extravagant, just something small. All right. There we go. There we go. And then with this same marker, I'm going to go ahead with a smaller nib here. So we use the chisel tip on one end. We're going to go ahead and create some nice smaller little leaf. Just a few, not a lot, just once in a while. And kind of having them be buddies with the larger leaves here. There we go. And if you have like other areas that don't have those bigger leaves, you can easily just add some smaller leaves and call it good. Here we go. And maybe one more for good measure. And there we go. All right. So that's a good start right there. With that, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more detailing to our flowers here. So let's go ahead and take these. We're going to kind of create that contour lining again. We're going to go ahead and just kind of, only this time we're actually going to be making it look like kind of poppy flowers. And don't be afraid to like let them go outside the lines, because look at that kind of color block effect that it gives. It's super nice. All right. And again, thinking like poppies, thinking like poppy flowers. And I'm taking the red here because whenever I'm doing color blocks like this, I could do the orange, but it ends up coming out really faint on top of the orange that's already there. And same with the yellow. In fact, this yellow is even fainter than the yellow I laid down, so it just wouldn't really work at all, except for maybe a little bit of variation. So I like to go a shade darker, and that oftentimes means a color different, like the next color down. And you can keep that in mind whenever you're doing anything with mixed media or multimedia, if you're dealing with more than one type of medium, or any product, honestly, the thought really carries through. Remember to go with the neighboring color for certain things, like if you wanted your texture to show up there. So we're going to kind of continue to create these poppy leaves. Here we go. There we go. And it's starting to look loosely like a flower, like a poppy almost. I mean, I don't know what these yellow, maybe that's like the pollen or something. I kind of just went doodle crazy and didn't really think about what kind of flowers these represented. And it's really fun to just kind of go in that contour line. And some of these you'll see are even looking like hearts. Like you can just use straight up shapes to kind of accommodate your texture and your value that you're trying to get. All right. And then with that, let's go ahead and kind of go with the orange once again, using that as our accent color again, at one shade darker than what the yellow is. And we're going to just go ahead and scribble some of that on. All right. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to add that. And we're just going to do a little bit here and there. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, just to add some variation here. Here we go. This is very different from my normal style, and I'm honestly kind of loving it. I feel like this is a really good way to break out of artist block, because artist block follows all of us wherever we go. At least it feels like that sometimes. So sometimes just stepping out and doing something that you're like it's completely outside of your realm is really amazing and helps to kind of kickstart those creative juices. And I love mixed media for that specifically. Also, guys, can we just talk about how cohesive all of Marabu's products are together? Like, you can get watercolor markers and sketch markers, and the colors are similar, but still different. Like these, I know that the ones I lay these colors down, they're not going to be the same color because of the shade and the variation of the ink, but they still all work together. All right, so now we have a little bit more variation here, and notice I'm keeping it kind of loose on purpose because I want it to be kind of a messier pattern. So now that being said, let's go ahead and go back to our chartreuse here. I really like this color. I mean, it's a greenish yellow color, but I am loving it for the contrasting effect of it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create these little blocks of these little swipes. And it's not even like filling in everything. And it's just meant to give a little bit of color here and there. All right. And I'm kind of going in the opposite direction. All right. And now that we have that, let's grab our purple, because I feel like we don't have nearly enough purple. So let's grab our purple. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to get a little bit of a watercolor technique here. Again, scribbling that onto your palette. We just want the watercolor texture of it, because this is a pretty powerful purple. I mean, it's a statement color, let me tell you. We're just going to create these blobs, and I'm actually holding my paintbrush really far up on the handle because I want it to be more organic. I want it to be a little bit more loose, and then again, going in that varying direction, just kind of like carry it down, and then going further. There we go. All right. Creating a little bit of a varying in the background there. Like filling up that space. We want to fill it up as much as possible.
Just come up when you're ready.
All right. I'm just kind of going around with dots, and they can be a little bit faint at first, and that's perfectly fine. Once you know where your dots are at, you can easily go over with another layer and deepen them out. In fact, I'm going to add this purple, but I'm also going to add my new favorite, this kind of indigo Prussian blue. It is super, super nice, and they complement each other super well. Again, mess-free travel watercolors, you guys. These Marabu pens are amazing. Okay, and we're just going to kind of blend the two together, creating this beautiful kind of bluish, like ultramarine kind of color. And we're just going to kind of lay that in. And you don't even have to like completely block out the faint color you'd already left. You can just kind of lightly go over. Get that dry wash effect. It's super nice. I love dry washing, you guys. It creates such a nice texture. It's so natural. Now, this color is available in certain sets from Marabu, and they are coming soon, available in the ArtSnacks shop. There are still some Marabu pens available currently, so feel free to shop them. They are tagged in this live stream, and you can shop it after the stream is over. But stay tuned for the new Marabu products coming to the ArtSnacks shop. All right. Same thing, just kind of going down. The aqua markers are really amazing. I've been using these for years. This was the very first Marabu product I was ever introduced to. All right. And I don't want to flood too many dots in here. So we're going to go ahead and take a step back. We're going to switch gears for another minute. We're going to grab this really, really, really light blue. And when I mean light blue, I mean light blue, like is faint. Especially when you add water to it. It's like a cloud color. It's so nice. All right, so we're gonna take this color, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna just go in, we're just gonna create circles, like right where those blue leaves are, and we're not even gonna try and fill the leaves in. We're just literally gonna add a circle or a rectangle or something. We're just gonna add a blob of color, like right where the blue marks are of the leaves. We're just going to kind of blend that in. And it creates this kind of color blocking texture. Kind of echoing the dots that are around, but not the same. Slightly different. And we're just going to go ahead and kind of there, and there, and there. And again, you'll see there is no smudging. When I use these markers, there's no smudging with over top of the alcohol markers. They actually play really nice together. I feel like I need a little bit more variation, so we're going to take this kind of forest green or Viridian. Is this Viridian green? Something like that. We're just going to add a little more oomph to these leaves, I think. Or what we'll do is we'll add little friendly leaves right next to them. But we're just going to do the actual watercolor type leaves instead of drawing them out with a marker. Kind of fill in those little gaps, those little areas that need a little extra love and maybe a little varying difference. Okay. And it goes so quickly, you guys. Like, look at this. We've made a pattern in such a short period of time. Patterns are a really great way to break outside your comfort zone. Especially repetition. Repetition is key, and patterns really help with that. All right. Okay, so now we have that down. I think what I want to do is I actually want to take, I think our leaves are a little bit wet right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the masking tape off. Now I'm not a letterer. Oh, look at that, you guys. Look at that nice straight line. Like, look at how satisfying that is. and now I've left the center blank because I actually want to add words, because I'm not good at, even though I'm not good at lettering, I too like to do something that has words from time to time. All right. There we go. One more. I create these little pull tabs whenever I'm doing my artwork because it just makes taking the washi tape off so much nicer. All right, so now that we have that, we're actually going to go back to our, I feel like I have to use yellow. I don't want to, but I have to because it just will fit with this piece. So let me go ahead. We're going to take the chisel tip here. I haven't practiced any lettering today, so bear with me, you guys. We're gonna take the chisel tip here because I feel like the chisel tip is the most complementary to your handwriting whenever you're doing lettering, especially if you're not a letterer like myself. Okay, we're gonna go ahead. So enjoy. And we're going to do the small because yellow. Enjoy the. Process. I'm terrible at lettering, you guys. It's all the chisel tip. Seriously, chisel tips are magic. Process. Hang on. I always mess up with my words, so I always have to double check. I think it's just one C. There we go. Thank you, Rodney. And there we have this beautiful reminder of enjoying the process. I love how the pattern came out, and like when you washi it down, then you can really have the freedom to just kind of go crazy and cut it off at a certain point. I'm going to go ahead and take, I feel like these little leaves need a little bit of love, so we're going to take this nice muted green here, and we're just going to kind of create a little bit of texture. And this is all with just color blocking and lines. This whole thing. We didn't even sketch with a pencil. Highly recommend doing this challenge. Like just color blocking your stuff out, not bothering with a sketch, just going for it, and use the chisel tip. The chisel tip is magic. Hashtag team no sketch, right? Okay. And I like that by adding these little details to these leaves, it brings them forward so much more. I think there was a missing piece right there. Okay. So now that we have our piece, don't forget to sign your work. And I'm actually going to go ahead and sign it right here next to the words. Did not choose a very good green color, but you know what? That's okay. I like this green personally. So you always want to sign it. And we're going to go ahead. We have one more piece to demask here and sign. So if you're just tuning in, we did this at the very beginning of the stream. All right. And we're going to go ahead and take the masking tape off of this. And go nice and easy. And see where we went over? We kind of cut off our piece right there. And it just creates this beautiful straight line. All right. And then same thing here. We want to sign our piece. We're going to sign it in the same green, I think. We're going to sign it down below. All right. These are very, very bright colors, but you know what I'm noticing about Marabu? It's actually been pushing me outside my comfort zone. I think I gravitate towards a lot of muted colors, and Marabu has really been showing me how to kind of take hold of the brighter colors, and it's been super nice. I've been enjoying everything that I've been making with these products. I think Marabu is laced with magic. I swear they are. They're so nice. So yeah, so remember how far you can get with just color blocking. I'm going to fix this little area. And then here, like, this is normal, tweaking things until they're done. I just think that it's a little, there we go. It's a little bit too harsh in comparison with everything else. So we needed to kind of blend it, make it a background. There we go. I think I'm actually going to do something similar. I think I'm going to actually take that Viridian green color and add a few leaves, because we have only those two little spots and it kind of messes up the balance. So we're just going to create a little leaf here. Oh, look at that. Perfect. And then we're going to create a little leaf right here, kind of filling up in those areas. This is the piece that was missing. I knew there was something missing. I like to take the same elements or the same color, and I like to balance it across the entire piece. Either I accent it somewhere or I blend it with another color, but it really helps to create a cohesion with your piece. Let this be another lesson. Don't be afraid to to gravitate towards bolder colors. I think it shares a whole new realm of your piece. I feel like you can learn a lot just from stepping outside. I would normally gravitate towards muted tones, but by doing more brighter tones, I'm learning new things. So definitely be sure to check it out. So remember that we do have a selection of Marabu aqua pens available in the shop currently, with more on the way. And in the meantime, you can also get all of these sketch markers available in the shop currently. I know I was missing one. Orange. There we go. So you can get all of these in the shop. I remember getting all of these as soon as I saw them because I love them so much, and they're very inexpensive. So if you were wanting to try a new alcohol marker, or an alcohol marker that was not, Copic but still had quality, these are great. These are wonderful. And honestly, guys, I challenge you, try the chisel nib. Just try sketching in it. It's amazing. All right. So again, these will be available. These are currently available in the shop. We have a selection of these available with more on the way. Be sure and stay tuned for more of that. Go follow Marabu at Marabu Creative USA. Guys, their stuff is amazing. I'm not even kidding. Be sure to give them a follow, show them some love, and yeah, and really embrace them into the artist community, you guys. They are amazing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining. This was super fun. You guys forced me to step outside my comfort zone here. I love this. And yeah, that is all I have for today. So I will see you guys back here next Monday for another Mixed Media Monday featuring Marabu. Thank you so much, Marabu. Thank you for supporting ArtSnacks and for sponsoring this live stream. Again, my name is Dread Pirate Bree, and I will see you guys next Monday. Bye.